衝撃に備えてください。
Okay, if I'm gonna be honest, the last extraction style game that I was fully invested in was The Division. And if I'm going to be more honest, I didn't actually know that Synduality Echoes of ADA was an extraction shooter when I first jumped into the closed beta test. I've seen trailers and mechs and thought it looked cool, but outside of the surface level press releases about the game, I've largely been in the dark about where in development this title was. So, once I was able to figure out exactly what Synduality was, I ended up playing it for nearly an entire weekend and having a pretty good time. By design, extraction shooters carry a similar level of frustration as roguelikes. You can go into a game and find some rare materials and items, but you can lose it all after an unlucky mistake. Synduality is no different. But it also takes it easy on the player by offering a base loadout that will keep you playing while you discover how harsh the in-game world can be. I likely did myself a disservice early on by taking the skills I've gained from Armored Core 6 into this game, but although they're both mech titles, the controls are night and day. Before I get too far ahead of myself, Synduality is an extraction shooter set in the year 2222. The poisonous rain has forced humanity underground, but they've created a means to explore the outside world using mechs. Players assume the role of a drifter who must head out into the world to collect AO crystals, which is pretty much used as currency in this world. With the help of their AI Magus, players can scout the environments and collect materials along with AO crystals to bring back to their base to improve their chances of survival. This all includes purchasing new equipment and upgrade sections of the base. There are missions to take on, but I feel like the added base upgrades ensure that you'll always have something you want to personally bring back outside of the mission objectives. Some upgrades require a time limit to complete, so I'm interested to see how long these times get in future upgrades. Okay, so let's talk about the game loop. First off, you get to make your Magus waifu, which honestly has way more customization options than I initially expected. Interestingly, the game really pushes onto the player the importance of this Magus partner. It's almost impossible not to care about the character when they bring so many benefits to the game. If you don't believe me, try dying out in the field and not bailing out. In the event this happens, your Magus will be lost for a bit, and if you head out without her, you'll discover that the radar and any other helpful systems have been completely removed from your HUD. Then the Magus will eventually return to the base in a disheveled state. It's pretty unique, and the relationship builds even more as you just spend time with the character. Upgrade the base, cleaning up, or maybe just taking a second to enjoy the calm music as your Magus dances. It is just an overly relaxing experience to such a tense game. But let's unpack what all that means. As you head out, you'll appear at an elevator somewhere within the large open world. 2 elevators are shown on your map that head back to home, but it's also possible to join up with others and use their elevators. Anyway, now you basically just explore. Radar can be used to detect AO crystals, which range in size, but I found that the larger ones have a lot more enemies surrounding them, so that's just something to keep in mind. However, there are also garages, warehouses, and caves to explore and loot for more materials. Thankfully, your Magus alerts you when there's a mission item nearby or a treasure chest, but sometimes you'll just have to search for the stuff. There's also a timer based on the size of your mech's battery, so be aware of that while you explore. Further, rain may appear, which is poisonous, so you'll want to avoid that as well. The world is fairly large and detailed. I found plenty of places with well-crafted set pieces that highlight the advancements of technology, but also the destructions that has plagued this human surface. Looking back at my gameplay, Synduality is a very pretty game, but there were too many frame rate issues that can be attributed to bad connection speeds in this closed beta server. One thing I did notice is the lack of enemy variety. Now this isn't a totally bad thing, but after about 6 hours I pretty much mastered how to effectively take down all the enemies that I had run into. However, it's also other players that I was mostly worried about. The game does well to highlight whether there are good or bad guys, and they eventually point them out on the map when a bad player is dispatched along with a large bounty on their head. So it's up to you how you want to play. I ended up working with several strangers and having a pretty good time, but the frustration of getting killed by another player as you're just drilling for crystals never got easier. I hope that there's a better way to tell when a player is close to you. Sometimes the Magus will say I hear some movement or something like that, but I'd like more of a warning in the final game, or at least more ways to signal to someone not to kill me. On that note, when it comes to gameplay, locking on and shooting down enemies was pretty disjointed and laggy. I'm not sure what was going on, but it's like you're constantly fighting back against the server lag while aiming. Synduality Echoes of ADA took me by surprise. While everything I said might be surface level stuff for extraction games, maybe it took anime girls and mechs to make that fun for me as a genre. I enjoyed the quest types and base upgrades, along with the interesting relationships between the player and Magus. There's a unique narrative building here, and one that you won't see if you plan to only play the game for an hour and move on. This is a game that demands time investment, but that is something that doesn't seem to go unrewarded. Unless you keep dying before you bring back something, then you're screwed. Apart from that though, go out and collect some materials, but stay out of the rain. Synduality Echo of ADA is coming to PS5, Series X, and PC sometime soon. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth, and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.